Alright, this is going to be part 2 in the series about the anabolic window. The first part was actually about electrolytes. And this part is going to be about carbohydrates and fat. So a trend I've seen is actually eating Rice Krispie treats before a workout. And while I don't think there's any need to have Rice Krispie treats specifically, a pre-workout meal could actually be beneficial. Specifically, a pre-workout meal containing carbohydrates. And the reason for this is because when we exercise, we get what's referred to as non-insulin dependent GLUT4 translocation. I know that sounds like a bunch of gibberish, but it's actually really simple. So inside the cell, we have what's referred to as a GLUT4 channel. And this is really just a channel that goes to the membrane and allows glucose to get from the bloodstream into the cell. And then glucose is subsequently used for energy. But typically our muscles will not actually be uptaking glucose unless we've eaten a meal. And this is so that we can spare the glucose for the cell types that need it, specifically the brain and the red blood cells. And when we eat a meal, there's a hormone produced by our pancreas called insulin. And insulin binds to a receptor and allows these channels to go to the membrane and then allows the muscles to uptake the glucose. But what's beautiful is that exercise does the exact same thing without the release of insulin. And this is why a great recommendation for someone struggling with diabetes where they have extremely high blood sugar is simply just to do any sort of exercise. This will allow their muscles to uptake the glucose out of their bloodstream, lowering their blood sugar back to normal levels. And sorry if you got confused, when I say blood glucose or blood sugar, these are the exact same thing. What this means is that yes, exercise will actually increase the amount of glucose we can take out of the bloodstream. But luckily, this effect will last for up to 72 hours after the workout. So why is glucose so important? So during any sort of high intensity exercise, we use what's referred to as muscle glycogen. And this is simply just a storage form of glucose that's already present inside the muscle cell. So it's really readily accessible during exercise. And this is how we get the energy to actually do any sort of high intensity exercise. And the only thing that really matters is that the glycogen is present during the workout. It doesn't really matter how fast after the workout this glycogen gets replenished, as long as it's replenished before the next workout. And as I mentioned, our glucose uptake and glycogen storage is going to be upregulated for up to 72 hours after the workout. So as long as throughout the rest of the day you get in sufficient amount of glucose to increase your muscle glycogen stores, then it doesn't really matter how quickly you do so. However, there is one population that this might actually matter, and this is someone that's training multiple times a day. You see, directly after a workout, we do have an increased ability to store muscle glycogen. So the fastest replenishment of glycogen will occur immediately after a workout. And if you have a workout very soon later that day, and you fear you won't be able to get enough meals in to replenish your glycogen fully, then you can take advantage of this very rapid glycogen replenishment after a workout by having some sort of glucose solution after your workout. And this doesn't have to be a drink, it can be a complete meal. And no, it doesn't need to be Skittles or Rice Krispie treats, it could be potatoes, rice, or fruit. One thing that's important to know is that if we do light exercise, like extremely low intensity cycling, walking, or very light jogging, we're actually going to be using predominantly fat during that workout. And the muscles store what's referred to as intramuscular triglycerides, which is a fat storage inside the muscle. And this is what we'll be using for this low intensity effort. So if you're doing a longer duration, lower intensity workout, you may actually benefit from replenishing your fat stores after exercise by having a meal containing fat. So to wrap everything back around, in terms of glucose and fat, the only time that this anabolic window is going to be important is if you have another exercise session in close proximity to your first one.